Hey, this is Namdev Hardesty, the MVA studio. I am here in a beautiful kind of post-stormy day at Minneapolis College of Art and Design. My class got out a little bit early, and so we still have some beautiful light behind me. And what I want to talk about right now is the evils of lorem ipsum. So I was looking at some work earlier this evening, and this person is like testing out an idea for like a promo piece, and they had multiple paragraphs on it of lorem ipsum. And so my question was, if magically copy were to appear there, real copy, what would it say? And I don't mean specifically like what beautiful sort of florid language would be there, but simply like what would the message be in each of those spots? And um, and the person didn't have an answer because while they were being sort of proactive in trying to find a visual language for what they were working on, they were also, I think, kind of sabotaging themselves by putting off the copy till later. And um, and I know that like putting lorem ipsum and stuff is this standard in the design world, but like quite frankly, it's a fucking disaster. And here's the problem with lorem ipsum: it's like you can't make any real decisions based off lorem ipsum. Greek is nothing like English. And you can be like, well, it's got the same letters and they're the same heights and they have A centers and D centers, but that's bullshit. Like when you set lorem ipsum, all of a sudden all your words are super long or extremely short. They're not like the typical sort of five to seven letter words that we use, or 4 to 7 letter words that we use in English. So you can't judge it off that. Secondly, you can't comprehend what you're reading. So if you set all your type with lorem ipsum and then you go, okay, I'm going to read this and see if the type is big enough, there's nothing for you to comprehend. How can you possibly know if the type is big enough? Um, all you're going to do is go off your sort of like normal status quo about like what type is big enough and what type is small enough. You're not actively reading it. Um, so you're looking at language, like at words that are not the same form as what you're going to work with. Nothing about them is the same other than the fact that it's the Roman alphabet. So and then the other thing is that like you can't judge how much copy will actually be there, because like what if it takes more copy to say what you need to say, but you tried to fill it in with lorem ipsum? Or what if it takes drastically less copy? And the worst part about lorem ipsum is you show the lorem ipsum to a client, and they get attached to the way that that particular thing looks because it looks real. For me, on the other hand, if you show me lorem ipsum, I have nothing to say because I'm looking at it, I don't understand it, I can't read it. So it's basically like if we're looking at a collage, fine, I'll be like, oh, that's a lovely texture, or that texture is not detailed enough. But otherwise, like there's nothing I can say. It's not useful. And one of the reasons we all jump on the lorem ipsum thing is because we're all convinced we're not writers. And you can listen to the podcast I do called Through Process to hear me rant about the topic of writing. But here's the thing, like anyone who's ever had to work with people like clients that give you copy, or businesses where you get copy from the marketing department, or whatever it is, sometimes you're very lucky and you got someone who went to school for copywriting. Actually, that's not true. I've never met anyone that went to school for copywriting. But maybe you're lucky and you get like an English major. So someone who like learned how to put a sentence together, even if they weren't trained in writing copy. But in general, what you're going to get is that whoever sort of wheelhouse the project falls under, they're going to give you the copy. And oh man, listen, chairs fall. Nice, we're keeping it very cinema verite up in here. All right, so whoever's wheelhouse it is, they're going to write the copy. They're no more qualified than you are. If anything, they're less qualified than you are because they have no critical distance from the thing that they're writing, and they're not trained in any sort of communications. They don't study communications in any way. So if you get a project, and short of if you're going to get fired, just take a stab at the copy yourself. 9 times out of 10, you're actually going to find that that copy is good enough, because the stuff that's going to come from either a trained copywriter tends to be like, no offense, copywriters of the world, I love you, you're fantastic, but you are very prone to being overly clever, when most of the time we just need the truth. So like take a stab at writing your own copy, especially if it's for your own stuff, because you know what you need to say. So write your own copy. don't use metaphors, don't use puns, don't be clever. Just write the truth. And then if you need to later layer in the cleverness and your puns and double entendres, then go for it. But for now, just try writing the truth. Chances are, if the thing you're doing is interesting and the graphic design is halfway decent, the truth is actually good enough. But dear God, like, don't do the lorem ipsum. Like, even if the thing you're making is exactly like something else, well, then use the content from the something else. Like, why then make imaginary content and then be like, well, it's like the last thing you guys did. Like, let's say it's an art catalog. It's going to be exactly like the last one. Well, just use that content as a sort of placeholder, because at least that content is real. You know that it has an artist bio and a resume or exhibition history or whatever, but at least that shit is real. So don't use lorem ipsum. It's not real. It's not a placeholder. All it does is tie your hands in weird ways, and it means that your client doesn't have something real to respond to. You don't have something real to design around. You can't possibly make an educated decision about type or anything, because like you can't sit down and read it. And if you don't sit down and read it, you're fucking up as far as I'm concerned. That's it. The evils of lorem ipsum. Avoid that shit. I don't know why I am so heavy on the swearing tonight. I apologize to the softer amongst you. I hope that you're doing well this evening, and that I didn't upset you too much. Check out the other videos. Follow me on Twitter. I'm at namdev, NAMDEV, or check out our website. It's the-mva.com, like motor vehicle accident. And we have a blog, and I think it's pretty good. Thanks a lot.